2019, I had a prophetic word that I released that said that Palestinian terrorists would suddenly and viciously attack the nation of Israel. And as I began to pray into this, Daniel chapter 10 really gave me the framework for understanding what was happening. If you remember Daniel 10, Daniel had been praying and fasting for 21 days. And in Daniel 10, verses 12 and 13, the angel finally gets to Daniel from the third heaven and says, your prayer was heard the first day that you prayed, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me 21 days. And he actually goes on to say he had to call for heavenly reinforcements. He said Michael, the archangel, came to help him because he had been left alone to fight the kings of Persia. And so it's interesting to me how that even in the days of Daniel, and I think we're in a Daniel generation of where we literally saw Daniel wrestling with this principality that was stopping third heaven revelation, third heaven answered prayer in the second heavens. This principality over Persia was fighting this angel that Michael had to back up and literally overcome to get the answered prayer to Daniel. And in Daniel chapter 12, verse 1, it says, and at that time, Michael shall stand up, the great prince of the Jewish people. And so I don't think it's a coincidence that Daniel fasted for 21 days. His prayer, the answer to his prayer was held up simply because the prince of Persia, even though he was praying and fasting, this principality of Persia, modern day Iran, literally hindered this angel from getting the answer to Daniel, and Michael the archangel was dispensed to help get the answer through. You know, there's something else interesting about all of this. The Hebrew word in the Old Testament, this is found in the book of Amos. It's also found in the book of Jeremiah and Zechariah. The Hebrew word for violence and aggression is Hamas. It's actually in the Strong's Concordance, the word for violence. And one last thing, in 133 AD, this just blew me away. Rome controlled Judea, and the Jewish people tried to overthrow their oppressors. And the Romans, to humiliate the Jews, they actually renamed Judea in Latin Palestina, which is a transliteration of Philistine. So to actually shame the Jews, they took the Latin word for Philistine, which was Palestine, and it actually became, in the English language, Palestine. So the Palestinian fighters that have attacked Israel, but not only that, and of course, we do pray for everybody involved. We want all men to be saved. But the principality of Persia is behind Iran. The principality of Persia is what's raising up. In fact, my last point, when the Medo-Persians overthrew the Babylonian Empire that Daniel was actually in Daniel 10. When the Medo-Persians overthrew Babylon, Isaiah 9 and Isaiah 13 talks about this. It said that the Medo-Persians plundered their houses, raped their women, and dashed their children to pieces. This is exactly what Hamas did when they invaded through the southern border, through literally verbatim. So that same spirit, that ancient spirit that drove the Medo-Persians to overthrow Babylon, the same spirit that withheld Daniel's answered prayer from the third heaven that Michael had to stand up to deal with, has now done the same thing, as you know, with beheading of children and raping of women. We've seen it literally in scripture in Isaiah. When the Medo-Persian spirit rose up, that's what they did when they overthrew Babylon. So God is going to fight for his people. And I think you're going to see Israel strike Iran, which is the root of all of this. I think that they will attack and take out the Iranian nuclear development facility because they know this is their chance to do it.